Here we go, the first Cinema Snob episode of the year, and oh boy, I hate 2016 already!
I love the way you look tonight. The sparkle.
One common theme with many worst films of 2015 lists is that a number of them have a place for 50 Shades of Grey. Which, to be fair, it's not a very good movie, but I have the feeling that 50 Shades is ending up on numerous worse lists because a lot of those people didn't have to sit through Old Fashioned. The movie premiered around Valentine's Day 2015 as a sort of faith-based counterpart to 50 Shades, especially with an advertising campaign that read, "Love is patient, love is kind, love is old-fashioned." Love is also nowhere to be found in this film! Makes sense that the poster also features two people ripping their hearts out, whatever gets me out of having to see this film again. On the surface, a movie like Old Fashioned seems like it would be normal enough, so it's an old-fashioned romance that focuses more on a courtship than it does on the sexual side of a relationship, much like maybe an old Hollywood romance film.
Too bad that's not what this film is!
And with its declaration of chivalry makes a comeback, they seem to confuse the word chivalry with insanity. But what can we expect from a company like PureFlix? It'd be way more honest if they changed the word flicks to shit. The movie starts out like a silent film, which makes sense. After I heard some of the dialogue, I wanted to stab myself in the ears.
I thought I'd always be alone.
Why?
That's what I deserve.
Oh, that's a bunch of hooey.
Ooh, they said the word hooey. They are really earning that PG-13.
Our lead character is Clay, who, much like Jesus, is a carpenter.
Though he has a lot more in common with a regular carpenter, considering he's as appealing as a hairy ass crack.
Sorry, dude, Jesus already invented this. The girl of the film is Amber, who is new in town. You can tell she's quirky because she has a cat on a leash and a dream catcher, which is better than if she had a copy of the movie Dreamcatcher. She pulls up to Clay's antiques shop, which is appropriately named Old Fashioned.
What do you think, Mr. Joe? Home?
Okay, do you have another cat in the back seat? Because that meow did not come from that cat.
And you already showed us the title. It was on the side of the building. Amber rents a room from Clay, which is above the antiques shop. She wants him to show her around the place, and here's where it starts getting weird.
Aren't you coming in? I don't bite.
Please don't take it personally. It's just, I made a promise to never be alone with any woman that's not my wife.
What?
That's sweet.
No, that's not sweet. That's what a pedophile says when he can't be alone in a room with a child.
Old-fashioned, huh?
Yeah,
It's a little on the nose.
what can I say?
That's not old-fashioned. That's the mindset of a potential murderer. Clay is played by the film's writer and director Rick Swartzwelder. Clay is a former frat boy who is also the creator of a Girls Gone Wild type series called College Girls Exposed. He's very ashamed of his past, which is why he keeps the DVDs lying around. One of his friends is a shock jock DJ named Brad.
You told me last night I could move in.
Well, you can. I didn't say with me. I put a good word in for you with the landlord.
Yeah. Are all current and former DJs named Brad complete dickheads?
He may not have a lot in common with Clay, but I'm sure he respects him.
I didn't do anything unto her that I didn't want done unto me. How can I get an amen?
Seems rather asshole-ish, but I don't respect Clay either.
I also don't respect this guy's show.
Women are stupid.
That's how you know he's a shock jock, when he just comes right out and says, "Women are stupid!"
And is this the only radio show in town? Everyone seems to be listening to it, even if they're pissed off. Does he provide some kind of insight through his misogyny?
Men like you.
Yes, men like me. Ah. How much do you weigh, sweetheart? How much?
Nope, because this shock jock show has zero humor and is just schoolyard taunts. Brad the DJ later got a job writing Donald Trump's campaign speeches. Amber seems to be settled into her new place.
You settling in okay?
So far, so good.
Just call me if you need anything.
Unless you need him to actually come inside your apartment. Why is this guy a landlord? Don't worry though, he does come inside to fix the stove, and he makes Amber wait outside.
Open that door, I raise your rent.
Okay. Calm down.
I am calm. You just stay outside.
Okay, how about this? Fix my goddamn stove, or I'll report you to the goddamn housing department! But then this leads to Clay's views on relationships.
I don't believe that dating trains us to be good husbands and wives. You know, life partners. It just trains us to be good dates, that's it. Trains us to be skilled in the superficial.
So, you believe in arranged marriages? Plus, dating doesn't train you to be superficial. One-night stands do! Amber, however, finds this charming, even when he says he doesn't trust himself to be alone with a woman, otherwise he may give in to sex. You know, like a rapist. Oh, but he's so handsome, in a 45-year-old former surfer who still wears his hair like he's 20 kind of way. Clay spends much of his time hanging out with his aunt.
This is the day the Lord has made.
I'll rejoice and be glad in it.
Just in case you didn't know they're religious. Not that their regular conversations are any better.
Is she a pretty girl?
Let's talk about tomatoes.
Now, let's talk about the right way to say tomatoes. Amber has made friends of her own, Sarah Lewis and a woman who looks kinda like the mom from Endless Love. And yes, they know who Clay is.
Clay Walsh?
Yeah.
Old-fashioned Clay Walsh? That Clay Walsh?
You mean creepy Clay Walsh, who looks like horror movie music should accompany him? Yep, that Clay Walsh. Yes, even their adorable run-in at the grocery store is awkward.
Hey there, stress boy.
Hey there, pretty girl.
Someone please liven the mood by farting. But it wouldn't be a romance movie unless the two buds were playing basketball and talking about chicks, man.
Okay. Most people know more about someone after a job interview for delivering pizzas than they do after most dates. So
What the hell kind of shitty dates have you been on? I've been to a lot of job interviews, and I never left knowing intimate details about their personal life, nor has this happened at a job interview. Well, okay, that did happen when I applied at the grocery store. I didn't get the job because I was horrible at stocking pasta. Clay and Amber are invited to their friend David's engagement. Maybe this will prepare them for their future, witnessing the most awkward proposal ever.
I figure I'm making an honest woman out of you.
I am an honest woman.
It's just an expression.
I don't like it.
So was that a yes?
This movie is awful! But then we do get to hear Clay's idea for the perfect honeymoon.
Cabin in the woods. A case of bottled water. And not a single distraction from building a foundation of intimacy.
Okay, on the surface, that sounds fine. You're alone in the woods with some water. Alright. But coming from this guy, it makes him sound like the Unabomber! And how does the DJ celebrate his friend's engagement?
How true it is, a friend of mine will call him Moron. Has lived with this broad for years. Strike one. Oh.
Don't worry, everyone still finds this hilarious, except Amber.
He's hilarious.
He says women are stupid.
There's a look that says, honey, you're attracted to Clay. You are kinda stupid.
In fact, not Sarah may be the smartest person in the movie.
It was a birthday party, lots of people were invited. He didn't even invite me himself.
My theory is
He's gay.
Mine too, especially after seeing the director in interviews. He made a romance movie in which he doesn't want to touch a woman!
Clay gets some advice from another buddy, this time talking about the man's 36-year marriage. How horrible is this gonna be?
After the dance, she decides to kiss me. So I kiss her back. Point is, now I got to date her for almost a month because I felt guilty about kissing her. And I didn't want to make her feel cheap either. So.
It sounds like the woman had a say in none of this.
And just when I am getting ready to dump her, her mom gets diagnosed with tuberculosis. And she starts freaking out, man. I mean, crying all the time, calling me.
And this movie says chivalry is dead.
Maybe they are right for each other. After all, Amber then destroys her garbage disposal so that Clay will visit her. She's even pre-waiting outside her own apartment. The man isn't even charismatic.
Senior year, everything changed. My goals, what I want out of life,
What do you want out of life?
to be decent.
You're boring. Character aside, as an actor, you are boring!
She is a million times more charming than him.
I think the world has enough greatness. Not enough goodness.
But it does have a whole helping of crazy. Case in point, when she drills holes in her fridge so that he'll come back. She even has hot chocolate waiting for him, as if she's now trying to seduce Kirk Cameron. And then what happens? He's rude to her.
Saving up for something?
Gas money.
That's it?
Just a jar.
It's not much of a story.
Well, you're not much of a person. And stop making up words!
Follow the warm and fuzzies.
Life just isn't all warm fuzzies.
Warm fuzzies. This movie sure has a way of making PG-rated words sound a lot creepier than R-rated words.
It's not just all rules either. Religioso.
Between warm fuzzies and religioso, now they know what pet names to call each other in bed.
We then find out that Amber came to town because her ex-boyfriend broke her hand because she was wearing the wrong kind of nail polish.
Sounds like something you'd come up with.
Depends on the color.
So she's going from a physically abusive relationship to a mentally abusive relationship.
Ah, the sign of a true auteur, walking by himself down the railroad tracks. Also the sign of a douchebag. You know, if you cut out the random shots of the woods or people walking in between the scenes, this movie would probably be 90 minutes instead of 2 hours. Now she's breaking the door. He could probably throw her out for destroying shit, but he's already proven to be a shitty landlord. She tells him that she'll stop breaking shit if he asks her out.
My rules, my way.
My rules, my way. So much for compromise. This is off to a great start.
So he instantly takes her to church, where they get an incredibly intrusive book on dating that's called Red, Yellow, Green.
just so you know, this is what some might call rushing it.
No, it's what some might call the worst date ever.
Do you have any pet peeves?
Check out these colors.
Do you have any pet peeves?
You think it's awkward now? It gets worse.
How many children would you like to have?
1 or 2.
I was hoping for 2 or 3. That's a yellow.
For someone who hates touching women, he sure wants to have babies awfully fast.
When she can't answer what experience she has in raising children, he actually takes her to his friend's house to watch her cut up food for their child.
Is this necessary?
Smaller pieces.
No coaching.
This isn't funny. This is really fucking disturbing. This has to be the longest day of her life.
Aren't you gonna ask me any more questions?
Nothing good happens after 11.
It's okay. Nothing good happened before 11 either. He promises to let her decide what to do next time, so at least she has a say in one thing, while he has the main say in everything else. Her friends, again, think that this is crazy.
What percentage of your annual income is appropriate to spend on a pet? I can see how he's got you all worked up.
Not all the questions are like that.
So what are the questions like?
Do you believe in the death penalty?
Oh, yes.
Burn that book and get the fuck out of town! Amber then makes a box of things to do and lets Clay pick from the box. That way it still feels like he's in charge. What luck, they go look at axes. Just make him a goddamn axe murderer already. That would be way more believable than this romance.
Mr. Walsh, the world wants to know, when are you going to kiss her?
Chemistry. Actually, the world wants to know, when the fuck are you gonna dump him? The one time he actually seems kind of charming is when he's making fun of his DJ friend on the radio.
Are you listening?
Oh, spare me.
How dare you!
I'm sorry. Did you say something?
Oh, you are so hot.
That man knows what he's talking about.
And then that is followed by this.
Hey, you're the one that wanted to turn the radio on, not me. Just get back to the book.
God forbid having an actual conversation. Amber honestly seems like a very sweet and lovable person, which makes this movie even more infuriating that she's ending up with this recluse. The movie then stops dead to review Sleepless in Seattle.
Bill Pullman. Nice guy. Kind, reliable. But just because he happens to itch and get puffy red eyes and sneeze all over the place, it's okay for Meg Ryan to run off with Tom Hanks.
He raises a good point, actually. But Bill Pullman was likable, you're not, and this movie has no right to judge other romance films. Especially with insane lines like this.
How is it possible that you're not already married?
Because he's gay. Clay can't let her get away with choosing an activity for a whole day, so he makes his own box too. I bet this'll be exciting.
It's easier to keep holidays than commandments. Benjamin Franklin.
Oh my god, do me now. He invites her over to his place for dinner, but don't worry, his aunt is there.
No flowers. I'm ashamed of you. Ashamed. Let's pray.
Yes, why can't you be more like that nice Peter Parker fella from down the street? Clay then admits that his personality change came about when he cheated on a former girlfriend who then gave him a Bible which he read.
I mean, sometimes I wish I never opened it at all.
Why?
Because when I read it for myself, I couldn't make fun of it anymore. Someone else could, but I couldn't.
Ah, come on. You can still make fun of Proverbs 21:19. Better to live in a desert than with a quarrelsome, nagging wife. Sounds like something your DJ friend might say. Clay's past life seems way more interesting than his current life. I should know. I read about Clay in Less Than Zero. How can their dates get any better than this?
Ask her to go to church with you sometime.
Auntie, please, we can fuck up our own dates on our own, thank you.
God loves every boy and girl, everywhere in the great big world, every color and every size.
I was once on a date to see the remake of That Darn Cat. That seems like a better date than this. Why should I say anything else when her friends say it for me?
You can do so much better.
And that's what should be the tagline of this film. Her other co-worker gives her a copy of Clay's College Girls Exposed DVD. And seriously, why do people just have copies of that within arm's reach? And why in God's name would you invite Clay, of all people, to your bachelor party?
David, don't do this.
Clay.
Open that door.
You kidding me?
Open the door!
Dude, this isn't your party. Sit down and shut the fuck up! And when Clay makes things awkward, the stripper is forced to leave, leaving people pissed off at Clay.
Hey! Hey! You owe me $200.
Yeah, he does owe you money.
You're an inspiration to us all, and we bow before thee.
When did treating women with respect become the joke?
Uh-huh. So let's see how you respect this woman.
You have any idea how much you cost her in tips tonight? Don't you think you ought to do something about that?
Hey!
Get off,
Hey!
man.
Hey! Somebody ask for your help in there? You think you're better than me?
By fucking her out of a shitload of money, being uppity about it, and needing to get your goddamn nose broken. But never mind, more date time.
What's it say?
Get lost.
Oh, thank God, she's finally telling him to get lost. Actually, that just means they drive out to the middle of nowhere, which is the last thing you should do with a guy like Clay. I guess it's okay to be alone in this instance, so long as you're outside with no one around for miles. That seems worse, just like these questions.
How many sexual partners have you had in the past 10 years?
I've had 5. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, and fuck off with that question! Nowhere else for this conversation to go, but I can't even say down. This whole courtship has been a train wreck.
This is almost a normal date.
Oh, a normal date. You mean where two strangers hop into bed and then try to figure out later whether or not they have anything in common?
Again, what the fuck kind of dates have you been on? Do you get all of your dating expertise from episodes of Sex and the City?
Flatter me. Sweep me off my feet. Tell me I'm the most attractive woman you've ever met, even if you don't mean it. I don't care.
Why do you?
Exactly. A normal date.
Because why in God's name would I compliment you and tell you you're beautiful? Ho ho! I must be lying! So, I don't know, are they breaking up? He's not acting any more off-putting, judgmental, or creepy than in the rest of the movie, but I guess they're apart now? She decides to watch his DVD, and while one wonders what she thought it was gonna be, it does look less like Girls Gone Wild, and more like he just filmed a whole lot of date rape. Oh, and here's another part that goes great with horror music. If only he bought that axe. In a scene that's eerily reminiscent of 50 Shades, this guy with an obvious temper and control issues goes around downtown searching for the girl because she might be with someone else, which she is. She almost hooks up with Brad at the Symbolism Hotel. Why should she be with this creep when she could be with another creep who doesn't even want to be in the same room with her? Oh, but Clay is busy at his place when his ex-girlfriend comes over and needs a shoulder to cry on, so he sleeps outside in the truck after having no problem being alone in a room with her. But, you know, Amber still wants him.
I don't want normal. I want you.
So find someone quirky, not someone psychotic! In one of the funniest parts of the movie, she takes her jar of ones, which is enough to enroll in college. That's about as realistic as someone being in love with Clay. But when Clay goes to see his aunt, we're given the basic theme of the movie when she tells Clay that he really needs to lighten the hell up and not be such a tight ass. Yeah, no, that doesn't excuse him for acting like an asshole for 80% of this movie, and why she would find him so endearing. And what gets them back together? He gets her a chauffeur and writes her a note, in which she instantly forgives him. No conversation, no discussion of their issues, he gets her address and everything is fine. And by the way, he doesn't change. Look at how he proposes.
The baby food aisle.
Little on the nose.
Very romantic.
He proposes to her in the baby food aisle. You know that book you have? Red, yellow, green? This is a fucking red! And he still won't even kiss her on the lips, and thus ends a film that makes Star 80 look like the better romance movie by comparison. Fuck this movie, and fuck its how-to guide to live alone and die alone. But one of the greatest things about movies like this is watching fans play the victim card when their film isn't well reviewed, from yelling at movie critics to leaving threads that say it doesn't have to be filth to be good. True, but you know what it does have to be good? Good! Even the trivia section contains spin that seems to be written by the filmmakers, proclaiming that when it was released on DVD, it rose to the #1 romance movie spot. Yeah, and Grown Ups 2 was once #1 at the box office. What's your point? But the best part is on Variety.com's review, where the director's stepdad chimed in to yell at the reviewer, claiming, "Then why were the theaters packed, and why did the audience stand to applaud?" By that genius logic, Transformers 3 was the best film of 2011. Who what? The theater was packed, and they applauded? Look, there's a middle ground between 50 Shades of Grey and Old Fashioned. Sure, one has sex and nudity and the other doesn't, but this movie understands dating about as well as that movie understood S&M. And both deal in different forms of abusive relationships, but still abusive nonetheless. And at least 50 Shades ended with her leaving. Yes, sequels, I know. And furthermore, if you want to make a more conservative romance film, maybe don't name your movie after a good stiff drink and a hand job!
Finally, I thought the old bag would never kick off.